Thank you for tuning into Abundant Moments. Recently, we talked about when Peter walked on the water, and we talked about how he was literally walking on the word when Jesus said, "Come." Well, I want us to look again at that account that we see in the Gospels where the disciples of Jesus were in a storm. And oftentimes, when we go through storms in our life, when we go through trials, tribulations, setbacks, the enemy will tell us that we have sinned, we're out of God's will, so this is why this has happened to us. Sometimes we have friends, like Job had friends that said, you must have sinned and now God is mad at you and these things are happening. But as we look at these things, we need to realize we can be in God's perfect will and still be in the midst of a storm. Because those disciples were in obedience to what Jesus said. He had said, get in the ship and go to the other side of the lake. And that is exactly what they did. They did not disobey him, but they obeyed him. And in their obedience, they found themselves in the midst of a storm. So I want you to know today, sometimes when we're in the midst of the storm, we need to stop and look and realize, wait a minute, it's not because I did wrong. It's not because I did not obey, but it is because Jesus said, in this life, you will have tribulations. But he said, but be of good cheer because I've overcome the world. So we need to realize that we can be in a storm and still be in God's will. And when we're in that storm and we're in God's will, we need to look and see what is the purpose of that. Because many times it is a learning time for us. Sometimes it's a time where we are helping other people. I know there are many, many people, and I'm so thankful, that pray every day and say, Lord, use me to be a blessing to someone. And sometimes when we're being a blessing to someone else, we find ourselves in the storm. Because in the storm, we are to help to pull them to safety, to teach them to trust in the Lord. So I wanted to remind you today, just because we go through storms, just because we go through setbacks, it does not mean that we are out of God's will. But oftentimes, when you're a child of God, you can be in the storm and know you're in God's perfected will. So trust in him. Do not become discouraged, but know he's with us even in the storms. Thank you for tuning in.